Hey everyone, it's Hannah and welcome to my very first sit-down video of 2025 and of my channel. Please bear with me as my cat gets interested in the camera. I do plan on trying to find a better place to do these videos, but for right now, this is what I have, and if I don't do the video now while I'm thinking about it, I will chicken out and not do it. So here I am doing it. A little history. I had a YouTube channel, this one active a long time ago, many years ago, and I made sit-down videos. But then I got overwhelmed and stopped doing it. And then last year I started doing weekly vlogs. And this year I thought I would like to try and bring back some sit-down videos and to just talk to the camera. So that's what I'm doing. And if you don't just rip off the Band-Aid, you'll never do it. So here I am and I'm doing it. So without further ado, this is my January TBR. Even though I am making myself a TBR in January, this is not necessarily what I'm going to read in January. And I say that because I'm kind of a mix between a reader who likes to have a set TBR that I can pull from every month. But I like having the wiggle room of being able to choose something different if I'm in the mood for something different. So while these are the books that I've decided to read in January, they might not be the books that I actually read in January, depending on my mood and how things are going. So with that said, let's just get started and talk about the books. So first up, we have Can't Spell Treason Without T. This is by Rebecca Thorne. It is the first book in the Tomes and Tea series. It's a cozy fantasy romance. Essentially, we have Canthe and Raina. They are in an established relationship, and they want to run away from their lives and start a bookshop, tea, cafe hybrid in a different part of town and just live a cozy and happy life. Raina is a queen's guard to a kind of selfish and self-absorbed queen, and after an assassination attempt goes wrong and leaves Raina injured, she decides that she's had enough of being a royal guard and decides that she's ready to set off on this new adventure with Canthe. Canthe is a mage. She's like one of the biggest or most powerful magicians in the kingdoms. So she also has duties that she has to do on top of running this bookstore. And I believe because it's more of a cozy romance, that it's just going to be kind of an exploration of their love and running a bookstore and all of the things that go with that. So I have this, I've been really looking forward to this, and I thought what a perfect way to start 2025 with just a sapphic, cozy fantasy. So that's number one. Number two, we have The Last Tsar by Tsuyoshi Hasegawa. The subtitle is The Abdication of Nicholas II and the Fall of the Romanovs. One of my historical obsessions since I was little has been the Romanovs, and we can blame the Fox Anastasia movie for that, but it's been an obsession and an interest that has never left me. So 34 years old, and I'm still exploring information about the Romanovs. This was written from a new trove of previously uncovered pieces of historical information that talks about how Tsar Nicholas clung to the failing monarchy, and that led to his abdication and then the fall of the Romanovs, which was like a 300-year-long standing monarchy in Russia at the time. So I'm very interested to read this. I'll be doing this on audio because I don't do well with fiction or nonfiction trying to just read it. But I do retain the information when I'm listening to it. So I'll be doing this on audio. My goal this year is to read at least one nonfiction a month. So this is my nonfiction for January. Next, we have both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I don't think I need to talk too much about what these are about because they are all over the place. But essentially Violet is being sent to this war college, but not to be a scribe like she always thought she would be, but to be a dragon rider. Violet has some disabilities which prevent her from being as strong physically as some of her other competitors, so that's going to make her life difficult. And then there's Xaden. He is the son of this guy who started a rebellion, and so he's been forced to go to this war college because his father was the leader of the rebellion. You could also argue that Violet is being forced since she didn't want to be a dragon rider. But nevertheless, I am reading this. I have had it on my shelf, but I've been kind of nervous to go into it because it's so hyped up. But at work, we have the midnight release party happening on the 20th for Onyx Storm, and I am working it, and I don't want to be spoiled. So I have to read these before then. So those are next. After that, we are going to go back to some sapphics, but this is going to be horror. This is like, the tagline is when sweet romance turns deadly. I bought this so long ago, and so that's why it's on my TBR. But essentially, Rosemary meets Ash at a farmer's market, and they kind of fall in love with each other. But there's some horror elements. But I don't know what the horror elements are. I just really was drawn to the cover and to the fact that it's sapphic, and sapphic longing and yearning and desire. Anything that has like those words in the descriptor, I'm going to buy it. So I just want to read that. And it seems a little short after some long fantasy. Next we have Love at 6,000 Degrees by Maki Kashimada. Oh, I don't think I mentioned, but this one is by Delilah S. Dawson. So this is by Maki Kashimada. This is about a housewife who finds herself haunted by visions of a mushroom cloud, and she leaves her family. It is a literary fiction, translated fiction, so I'm very excited to read more of that this year. It's also short, so I thought it would be a nice start to reading some more translated fiction. So that's why that one's on my TBR. Next, we have my book of the month pick for this month, The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I've already heard really amazing things about this one. This is a ice dancing partners turned lovers turned obsession turned hatred. A lot of like really cool things happening there. Basically, we have Katerina. She always dreamed of being an ice dancer, and Heath. He was from a foster care family. He started skating young because Katerina talked him into it. They go to the Olympics, and then something happens which breaks their partnership apart. Nobody knows why, but 10 years later, there's an unsanctioned documentary is being created talking about their breakup, essentially, and Katerina decides to tell her own story the way that she wants to tell it. It's giving Daisy Jones and the Six meets Wuthering Heights. So I'm very, very, very excited for this one. And then next we have Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is the last book in the Caraval series. I read the first two last year in 2024, and I really don't want to wait too long to finish it. I can't talk too much about the synopsis since it's the third book, but essentially Caraval is about Scarlet and Tella. They're sisters, and there's a circus. Oh my god, I don't remember Caraval because I'm so wrapped up in the whole world. So I can't tell you too much about Finale because it's this final book in a series. But essentially it revolves around these two sisters, Scarlet and Tella, and this event called Caraval, and you can't trust anything that's happening in Caraval, and I've fallen for it every time. It's so good, but I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm afraid that I'll accidentally give spoilers. So if you haven't read Caraval, I would highly recommend, but I'm going to finish the series this year. I'm going to finish it this month. And then we have a sapphic contemporary romance. It's called The Ride of Her Life. I really got into cowboy romances last year and noticed a severe lack of sapphic cowboy romances. I'm calling this cowboy romance adjacent because it's set at a farm. Molly, her life is falling apart, and so she buys this barn. Oh no, she inherits a barn from her estranged aunt, and so she goes and she's like, I'm gonna start over, but she's not very well equipped to run the barn. Enter, what's her name? Shawnee. She's a farrier. So I think that's cowboy adjacent. And together they're going to try and make this barn work. And I'm very excited. If you have any sapphic cowboy romances or sapphic cowboy adjacent romances to recommend, please do so in the comments because I need it. And then last but not least, I have The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe. This is like a not a sapphic. This is a sci-fi slow burn romance. I don't read a lot of sci-fi, but I love a slow burn romance, and I keep hearing that this is like one of the best slow burn romances out there. Essentially, we have our main girl. She's a revolutionary, and he is the heir to the dynasty, and she disguises herself as his bodyguard, and so she's going to try, I think she's going to try and take down the empire from within as his bodyguard, but then getting close to the heir, feelings start happening, and is she going to change her mind? Oh no, we don't know. That's my understanding of this. I try not to go in with too much of an understanding because sometimes I find that that can disappoint me when the book doesn't give what I thought it was going to give. But if I hadn't read the synopsis, then maybe I would have enjoyed it more. I don't know if that makes sense. So anyway, I'm going to stop blabbing. But this is my January TBR. And I hope you liked the video. Any feedback is welcome down in the comments. Also, tell me what you're reading this month. Are you a TBR person or a mood reader or a mix of both like I am? Yeah, so I'll see you in the next video. Bye!